Hey, today we're looking at fractions. Now, there are so many things that we need to learn for fractions. We've got the typical fractions, improper fractions, mixed fractions. So let's have a look at them and see how we can understand and work with them better. Don't forget to press pause because you will be writing these notes down so you remember forever. So we have the words fractions. Now, fractions are the typical fractions that we see. You have a smaller number above the line and a larger number below the line. And a fraction, remember, is part of a whole. So it's not a whole number, it's part of a whole. Now, whenever I work with fractions, I always remember my yummy cake. So if I had a whole cake, that will be a whole number. But if I decided to cut and share my cake and give you a slice and give my neighbor a slice and give him a slice and she can have a slice, that I am sharing parts of my one whole cake, which doesn't happen often. The second word is numerator and the third is denominator. So numerator and denominator. The numerator sits above the line and the denominator sits downstairs below the line. So it begins with a D. So if you ever forget which is which, denominator downstairs, and the numerator is upstairs. Then we have mixed fractions. Now, mixed fractions, it's sort of self-explanatory really, isn't it? Mixed is a combination of two or more things. So we've got a combination here. We have got a whole number mixed with a fraction. So here we've got 8/3/7. So we've got a combination of the two. So that's a mixed fraction. Remember, a whole number, and a fraction together, whole number and a fraction together. Then we've got the word improper fraction. So improper must mean it's not proper. So the typical fractions we see is, remember, numerator is a smaller number and the denominator is a larger number. Now, what's improper about this is the denominator this time is the opposite. It's smaller at the bottom and much larger at the top. So we call this top heavy. So if you see a top heavy fraction, you can say it is an improper fraction. It's not your typical fraction. We're going to work out how we can work with these fractions in the next few slides. So remember, press pause, make sure you write down these notes and you understand them well. I wanted us to have another look at improper fractions in a little bit detail. We've got improper fractions now. A proper fraction is when it's typical. It's your usual simple fraction. And the three examples I've got here is 5/10, 9/20, 30/100, and that's the typical, usual, proper fractions that we see. And notice all of them have a denominator that is much larger and the numerator is smaller. Okay, so look carefully and remember you can press pause, write down these notes, and as you're writing it you'll notice these things. Then we've got the improper fraction, and that's a different type of fraction where it's top heavy. Let's have a look at the examples here. I've got 34 over 7. My goodness, that's a bit big, isn't it, for that 7 to carry? 32 over 8. That's another large number sitting on top of that 8. Then we've got 35 over 6. Now, these are not your typical fraction, are they? They are top heavy, they're strange, so we call them improper fractions. So remember, you press pause, you write these down, because as you're writing these down and writing down your notes, reading through them, you'll see and hopefully remember them for longer. I'd like us to look at how we can convert a mixed fraction to an improper fraction. So here I've got 4/3/8. It's mixed because I've got a whole number combined with a fraction. So how do I now turn this into an improper fraction? I've got a few steps here. Number one, we multiply the mixed numbers. So we do 4, the whole number, multiplied by the denominator. So 4, the whole number, gets multiplied by the denominator, which is 8. And that gives us That's right, 32. And then we're going to add the numerator. So we combine now 32 and you add that to the numerator, which is 3. And 32 plus 3 is, yes, it's 35. So I can put that down, 35. Now I'm going to keep my denominator, which is here 8. So I'm going to keep that denominator. So I'm going to put down the word or the letter K here for keeping. We keep the denominator, which is an 8. And now we're going to use this new figure 35 and put that as my numerator. So this is how we now convert 4 3/8 now becomes 35 over 8. And remember, step 1 is to multiply the denominator. So multiply the denominator. We add the numerator. Okay, so these two first. Number 2, we then add the numerator. We keep the denominator 8. And then we move our new figure 35 at the top. See if you can practice this by pressing pause and writing these down as notes, and I will give a few for you to practice with. Time to have some fun. Let's see if you remember the notes. 4 5 6, number 2 7 3/8, and number 3 3 2/9. Let's see if you can have fun converting these into improper fractions. You can use your notes if you need to. Let's look at converting improper fractions to mixed fractions. So here I have got 35 over 3. How do I convert this now to a mixed fraction? What's a mixed fraction, I hear you say? It's a whole number with a fraction. To do this, step number 1, I need to divide. So I say 35 divided by 3. Let's jot that down. And as I'm doing this, you will probably like to press pause so you can write down your notes. So we say 35, divide that by the 3, which is going to give me, so this is why you need to know your times tables, and I know 11 times 3 is 33, so the answer is going to be 11. Okay, so 11 times 3 is 33, 33, 34, 35, so I've got 2 remaining. So let's put remainder 2. Now my remainder is 2, so I'm going to put that here. And now this is going to help me write out my new mixed fraction. And my third step is you always keep the denominator. Okay, so this 3 is going to help me. So 35 divided by 3 was 11. That's my whole number. There's my whole number. Now, remember my mixed fraction, so I need a fraction here, don't I? So number 2 is going to be my numerator, my new numerator, and I'm going to keep my denominator, which is the 3, and that's going to go here. I am going to give you some to practice with, so please have fun with them. Remember, press pause at any time and have fun. Write your notes because it will help you to remember. Press pause. It's time for you to have a go. Let's see if you can now convert these improper fractions back into mixed fractions. Press pause. Forever rules. Yeah!